We are back with episode 6 in our series on the Bhagavad Gita, the major themes. And in this series, the first 10 episodes are on the major themes that many discuss within this timeless 701 verse poem, this dialogue that can be read within 30 minutes between the warrior prince Arjuna and his charioteer, or who he thinks is just his charioteer. This dialogue is rich with so many timeless knowledge bombs, concepts on essentially every aspect of life. And we've covered a few of them. We've covered duty. We've covered our pursuit of union. We've covered everything from action and right action to wrong action. Yesterday, we actually covered detachment, the concept of detaching in a healthy way to actually improve the odds of the outcome you might want, but also diving deeply into the fact that when we are attached to some outcome, obsessively attached, that it actually creates the conditions for that outcome to elude us. And today's reflection is on the major theme of the nature of reality and the concept of God within the Gita. Now, I want to start off by saying, within Vedanta, it is a philosophy, not a religion. There are no shoulds, should nots. Listeners have heard me say this. There are no rites and rituals. It is just a philosophical worldview that can orient an individual to the world around them in a hyper-efficient way. And Vivekananda, a sage within Vedanta, once said that Vedanta makes the Christian a better Christian, the Jew a better Jew, the Muslim a better Muslim. This in no way replaces a tradition that you might hold dear. It complements it quite nicely. If anything, my appreciation growing up Catholic, my appreciation for Christ is incalculable. I'll just put a number on it just for posterity and say it's 10x greater, but I don't know, 500x greater than my appreciation was growing up or when I was 25. But within this philosophy, it does discuss the concept of God, and very explicitly. In fact, it discusses it more explicitly than any tradition I am aware of, any philosophy I'm aware of. Within the Gita, Krishna, the charioteer, who is seen as this symbolic embodiment of God, is talking to this warrior prince that's having an absolute breakdown right before this major battle in this great civil war called the Mahabharata. Arjuna is having this breakdown quite literally right in the center of the battlefield. And a topic that Krishna harps on over and over and over again with Arjuna is that Arjuna is unable to see what's really happening. He's so caught up in the attachment to his identity, to his life, to his family, to honor, to his teachers, that he's unable to see what's really going on. And his charioteer makes it explicit. The nature of reality is that his individual soul, the Atman, is the cosmic soul, Brahman. His soul is the exact same as that which pervades everything. It is that, as the great phrase goes, Tattvam Asi, you are that. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna. You are that. That is the nature of his identity, of the reality, and that is the nature of God. The concept of God within Vedanta is that which persists. It is reality itself. This idea of separation from one another, from God, from our environment, that is a dualistic interpretation of the world, that you and I are separate. You might perceive that water that you think is there in the desert, but like the mirage, that doesn't mean that's how it is. that does not mean that is the reality. In fact, our perceptions fool us to what is reality all the time. And it takes a wise, wise friend, even in the mundane sense, to wake us up from our perceptions that we think is reality, and they kind of shake us and tell us what's really going on because we're perhaps blind to it. Or in the profound case where Krishna is telling Arjuna, is metaphorically shaking him and saying, this is the nature of reality. You are what is, was, and what will always be. That is God. And you are that. Arjuna is not that. Not this Arjuna figure, not this character and this personality that is this warrior prince, but who Arjuna is deep down. And the Gita is speaking to all of us. Who you are deep down is that which is, was, and will always be. That which persists. You are reality. Not the projections, the superimpositions that our ignorance superimposes on reality, but reality itself. You, yourself. Reality itself. Are the self. You are that. Tattvam asi, that thou art. That is today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. Join us tomorrow where we jump into number 8 in our series. And the major theme is the immortality of the soul. It's in many ways a continuation of this episode, but in more detail and on the immortality of the soul and all of our misplaced grief. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening to the Daily Vedantic. This reflection is part of a free repeating 2-year course in Advaita Vedanta. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Upanishads, arguably the oldest philosophical texts on earth, you can begin with episode 1, which gives the 15-minute overview of the whole philosophy of Vedanta, or you can join the journey with any episode at any point. But the critical aspect of this course, of understanding and mastering anything, is to study and reflect, even for 10 to 15 minutes on the timeless each day, preferably at the start of your day. As is said in this philosophy, reflection is 100,000 times as powerful as listening. So listen, journal, sit with, discuss these concepts, or ask questions at thedailyvedantic.com with our AI-powered chatbot informed by about 700 episodes here, as regularly as one can if you want to see clarity and peace almost effortlessly unfold in your daily life. And if it doesn't result in a near immediate increase in clarity and peace, then toss aside and feel free to never listen again. One of the things that you might notice is after 7 or 8 days in a row, this doesn't feel like a discipline. This feels like a visit with a best friend to dive into the timeless with daily reflection. Within a few days, it becomes one of your favorite parts of the day. You can also find out more, including news about in-person events in Los Angeles and beyond, at The Daily Vedantic on Instagram or through our weekly newsletter at thedailyvedantic.com. Additionally, check out the links in our show notes for more resources like the books that are mentioned most frequently in the episodes, including Vedanta Treatise, perhaps the simplest and most straightforward read on this philosophy I've ever come across. Until next time, and from the entire team that works on the Daily Vedantic project, thanks for listening.